Since the emergence of Studio 54 in the 70s, the number of clubs in New York City has increased dramatically. But so have the legal and financial risks of opening a club. Club owners must stay in touch with changing tastes and trends to survive in an oversaturated market. But right now, a look at the state of New York clubs.
You are not the kind of guy who would be at a place like this at this time of the morning. But here you are.
The New York nightclub scene has provided rich source material for movies and books over the years. New York is a city that never sleeps, mostly because excitement can be found almost anywhere, if you know where to look. New York's downtown scene, frequented by artsy trendsetters and dotted with large dance clubs, invites all sorts of people to mix while getting their kicks.
The big clubs are really what's happening now.
But while big is in downtown, uptown is the tale of another city, one with smaller clubs guarded by the shield of exclusivity, as well as by velvet ropes.
The preppies hang out together in uptown clubs.
The white population does go towards a smaller establishment because I don't think they racially want to mix as easy as the other groups of people.
We want to insulate ourselves from people who are unstylish and unattractive and rowdy and not fun to be with.
And while large clubs showcase the city's diverse cultural mosaic, they are often the target of neighborhood watchdogs who complain about the noise and violence associated with such clubs. One way to combat this problem is to have a bouncer.
I've got people in there, they're expecting me. Why don't you just let me in?
You're sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Although hot clubs are notorious for picking and choosing at the door, in New York this practice is illegal. But loopholes such as dress codes give a club the power to choose its clientele.
A doorman really doesn't have friends in New York. They look for people who are either A, just physically good looking, or B, just well dressed. That's it.
And who doesn't get in?
Somebody who's violent, somebody who's drunk, somebody who's a problem.
One problem with tracking the club scene is that the place to be changes every night.
The cool thing to do is to be at a certain club at a certain night. And, God forbid you're there on the wrong night, then, you're out.
It's all part of being part of the in crowd. And no one is more in the know than the club promoters, otherwise known as club kids.
The promoters are like certain individual kids that have kind of made a name for themselves and have the ability to bring in their own crowd.
Rudolph, a club owner and director for over 20 years, agrees.
The club director has to listen to what these kids talk about and what they want.
The club kids talk mostly about the new trends with club directors as well as with the public through magazines like Project X. So what's in vogue these days?
Certainly world music is interesting, but I also like a lot of the new forms of house music.
In fashion, it's pretty much anything goes.
I always get dressed up to go out, just have a good time and show off.
And while showing off may mean something different depending where you do it, people still go to clubs for their personal entertainment.
Sex is back, and it's the best thing. It's what makes clubs great. Where AIDS devastated people in the 84, 85, it devastated the scene. Right now, people are learning to deal with it.
Everyone uses a condom now that I know of.
Let's go to your place. Right now with you? Sure.
Your place or mine is an issue that most club owners also face in an industry boasting over 200 night spots, servicing an average of about 458,000 customers a week.
There's too many clubs, not enough people.
Hot clubs tend to burn out quickly these days, so why take the chance?
I went into this business because it's risky, and I like risky business.
Risky and expensive.
There's approximately 50 permits and licenses and inspections which one must pass in order to open one's doors, and that requires a huge capital investment.
So while the risks for club owners are considerable, New Yorkers can sleep well at night knowing that others aren't, and that the New York club scene is alive and kicking.
New York rules. It delivers. It delivers.
And tomorrow we'll take a look at the club scene in Los Angeles. Now we'll take a look at a commercial. We'll be right back.
Next week on Showbiz Today, the King of Zane, Jonathan Winters.